Okay, should we start by now?
Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen.
No, we were going to do the presentation first.
Sorry.
So welcome everyone who is watching us. We're very happy to be here today. This is the second meetup that we're doing, and it's online. And yeah, this is gonna be the topic of today that I think, in my opinion, is very important for what we've been through these days, about like how to think about our product and to launch a new feature now, and how the pandemic is impacting our decision making for the business nowadays. We have these two super special guests that they are not in Italy, they are in Brazil. So it's still afternoon there, after lunch. And thank you guys very much for joining us today. Sorry. So we are Ladies That UX Milan. And Ladies That UX is a friendly, welcoming, and collaborative community. And our mission is to promote and encourage women and people that identify themselves as women in the work in the work field, as user experience, as designers, as service designers, etc. And we are present in more than 65 cities. These are some of the cities that we are in. And the Milanese chapter is the first one in Italy, so we are very proud and very happy to be here, to be the first ones to come to Italy. For the chapter leaders, it's me and Ilaria. I'm Mariana Ozaki. I work as a service interaction designer.
Hi everyone, and welcome. I'm Ilaria Farina, and I work as an user experience designer.
And we have our Slack group, if you want to join us. We have a few girls there where we can share things that we see, events, articles, etc. So it's very nice to keep this exchange besides these hours that we have together in our meetings, in our events. So this is our email. If you guys have any suggestions about topics that we can talk about, if you want to help us, if you have any ideas, please text us and write us for us to get some feedback also from you guys. So that's it. Pass the...
Now I can share it.
Yeah, now Marina can share.
Now it's our time.
Okay. Oops. Wait a minute. Sorry. Yeah. Here we go. Are you seeing my screen? Yes?
Yes.
So I'm just going to give Yasmin the control. So, yes, please, Yasmin.
Okay, guys, good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for your interest in knowing more about behavioral consumption after crisis and the possibilities of making it tangible in a new feature or product. Here today with me is my coworker and friend Marina. We both work at ClickBus, which is an online business bus ticketing company, and it's the leader of its sector here in Brazil. Sorry in advance for any rustiness in our English. It's been a while, so please be patient. Also, So to start, I have a question to make. Do you guys think you will consume the same way you did after the pandemic is done? Um, for me, I think the answer is no. We are changing, the world is changing, and it's not only normal to feel this way, but also part of history when it comes to crisis. Uh, every crisis have mainly three stages. The early stages, where the scenario is obscure, we have no idea what is about to happen. The period of lockdown, which is the period we are all in right now, and that brings a lot of uncertainty and a change of behavior. And the last but not least, the post-lockdown, which brings us to the new normal and consolidates disruption in behavior. So during the lockdown, we ask ourselves, like, what is already changing for us? What is already a movement in our behavior? So to start, it's very important to look at the context we're in. So when it comes to politics, we have a dubious scenario with leaders like ours, Bolsonaro, which says that it's not that big of a deal. There's one more flu for the society. And the opposite leaders reinforcing the needs to stay at home. About the economy, we have a lot of people expending a lot of money to fight coronavirus. And by now we have more than $8 trillion spent, with countries like United States being not only the higher investment, but also the bigger number of cases. And when it comes to the environment, we face a never seen before drop in carbon emission, motivated by the avoidance of using any type of pollution transportation. So it's a very really amazing moment in our environment. Probably we'll never see this happen again. And in situations like this, we create the main personas that are representative of the scenario here in Brazil. But it might be applicable as well to the scenario in Italy. So at first, we have the suspicious. This one is always in doubt if it's really serious, if it's really worth putting our economy in risk and staying at home for that long. Then we have the early adopter, which is the first one to motivate people to stay at home, especially at work. The first ones to buy hand sanitizer, use masks, and the main motivators to use technology to keep their routine. We also have the better prevent, which are the group of risk. They are the most afraid of consequences of the disease, and they had to change a lot the way they deal with their routine. They were not as much digitalized, especially here in Brazil, and now they are forced to do that because if they want to consume any type of food or any type of medicine, they mainly have to order online. We also have Shiva, which is an allusion to a person with a lot of hands to deal with a multiple routine, and mainly working moms fits in this persona. We also have the need to work, that understands the need to stay at home and to be safe, but they are afraid if they don't go to work, they might end up not having enough money to feed their families. So they are in a very unhealthy situation about it. And at last, we have the frontliners, which are the doctors, nurses, and also food delivery workers who are putting themselves in risk to keep us safe. Regardless of the persona, we are facing a moment of uncertainty, anxiety, and fear. The main motivators to that are not knowing if we will be able to have our basic needs fulfilled, such as food, safety, and healthy, especially with being on the verge of a job loss. And speaking about job losses, we have an astronomical impact on unemployment, with projections to break the Great Depression's record, which was already huge. In the graphic, you see the raise of unemployment assistance asked in the United States, and it goes higher and higher, which is really scary. And those job losses are mainly focused on sectors with most negative impact, such as travel and tourism, which is the one that ClickBuzz is in right now, food and services, among others. On the other hand, we have sectors thriving in this pandemic, such as hygiene, health products, and of course, e-commerces. And with especially the rise of e-commerces, we see numbers of growth in sales never seen before. Here in Brazil, because of the need to work from home, the working parents, and the need to take care of their children and entertain them somehow, the toys market grew 643%. So followed by the supermarkets, wellness products, health, games, and food delivery. Here in Brazil, one of the players in the toys market had to develop their digital transformation that will last the whole year in a couple of weeks. So that raises the joke of who accelerated the digitalization, the C-level of a company or the coronavirus. Probably it fits in Italy as well. With all the digitalization, we develop new habits, such as new payments methods, especially here in Latin America, and need to social distancing in any type of transportation or walking on the streets. And the players in travel and transportation are developing anticipation and incentive to occupational guarantee their sales and to keep them alive. And also the remote work and online education were already growing in emerging countries like ours, but now they are the only alternative we've got. So everybody had to get used to it. But even having such a good impact on digitalization, we have to be careful with the exacerbated optimism. When it comes to the end of the pandemic, here in Brazil, 80% of the population think everything will be back to normal. Everything will be back to normal by June, which makes me a part of the 20% that doesn't believe that, because I think changes will be gradual. And I believe, as the charge says, it's not because my parachute has slowed my fall, I can take it off. So we need to get to the ground. We need to be safe. And being too optimistic can put us in risk. Now, talking about the lockdown, I'm not going to talk about it based on astrology or future predictions, but based on behavioral disruption that's being seen before in previous situations of crisis. So what to expect after the pandemic? When it comes to the scenario projections, the politics will be facing their worst immigration control. A lot of people will be afraid of getting the disease back, so it will be really hard to enter countries like United States. We also have a polarity of egocentrism. Some leaders will be saying they were right, telling people to stay at home, and that's what flattened the curve. And some others will say, see, I told you guys it was not that big of a deal and nothing that major happened. But for our luck, the science and technology will be more hurt than ever before. And in the economy, we'll face difficult times in the end of this year with huge losses. But those companies who survive the crisis can expect an even better, scene in 2021, with growth even bigger than 2019. So it will be a good year, the next one. And the last, the environment, it is in danger because of the resumption of carbon emission and because of the projection of being higher than before. So nobody's going out, nobody is traveling, no airplanes, nothing. And then of a sudden, a lot of this will be back to the environment. So it will be very scary. In our personas, you guys see that we still have some known faces, but the behavior of them changes. So the suspicious, for example, he's the first one to get back to the office and the main one to say that it was a waste of time staying in lockdown for so long. The early adopter will get back easily for their social life, wanting to be close to friends and loved ones, but is still using hand sanitizer and masks when they are in contact with strangers and public transportation. The better prevent will allow themselves to get back to some small habits like going to bakery and holding their loved ones like their grandchildren, their kids, but will still be more averse to any agglomerates and will stay at home more often than they did before. The Shiva will now be facing a lot of stress and will be a lot exhausted because of the multiple routine. And now we have a new person emerging, that is the unemployment insurance. Because of the job losses, this group will be the one that face the worst with the breakdown of the market. And they will create a rage aversion to this period of time, questioning themselves why them and not another colleague. And like I said about Shiva, some people will face serious psychological damage, such as PTSD and burnout. And that's happened on SARS outbreak. 29% of people that were in lockdown demonstrated traces of PTSD. And a lot of those moms that had to make themselves multiple will face signs of burnout. But to help us cope with the fear and the uncertainty, we will need quality information more than ever. We will believe in science and health more than any time of our life because we see that it's the only hope that we have to find any way to solve coronavirus, mainly with the vaccine. We also be facing a duality of needing to be close to the loved ones, hold each other after all this time apart, versus an aversion to people we don't know, especially anyone with any kind of sickness, flu, or people sneezing. Like imagine yourselves in a bus with someone sneezing on your side, it will be terrifying. And thinking about that, both Ford and Zillow created ways to help us avoid too much human interaction and keep social distancing. Another duality that we will see is in the decisions the companies will have to make about guaranteeing safety versus guaranteeing smaller prices. To do something like Zillow is doing to guarantee nobody's going to sit on your side, it has a cost. So somebody needs to pay the empty seat. So the company will have to balance a lot what they want to put in the market. And we'll face a new normal for us. When it comes to short term, we'll see people using masks in public spaces like supermarkets, but only temporarily, like only until maximally next year. When it comes to long term, we'll see things that are never coming back to the way they were before, especially in the use of technology to disseminate information and democratize health and telemedicine for all over the world. Here in Brazil, the enhancement of healthcare will be something that we're going to face as well. Now, this topic is a little bit polemic. Me and Marina were discussing if we put it or not, but it might be nice for a discussion with you guys afterwards. We believe that a lot of people, we used to believe that a lot of people would be more urbanized and the world would be even more disseminated with technology and a lot of buildings. But now, with the dissemination of technology, we will be able to work from home and have the best studies for our kids in a calmer, less polluted, and with best life quality city. So this will motivate a movement of deurbanization, which before sounded more like a retirement plan, but now it's possible for any type of person. And it's hard to see any good side in a crisis, but all those companies were created after the Great Recession in United States. So we might be on the verge of meeting the new Uber or new WhatsApp in this area that is coming. And now, to help us tangibilize how we can use all of the information to create something new and adapt our routine, my colleague Marina will talk with you guys.
Hello, everyone. I'm just aborting your control. Just kidding. But thank you, Yasmin, for introducing me. And so, as you said, I'm going to bring here a more technical perspective about how to pick all those things that you just listened to and how to deal with it in your daily practices. But I'm going to bring also real examples that we are doing in your company, the ClickBus, as she mentioned it. And this is a very unique moment in your lives, right? But this is not the first time that our society is seeing a crisis happening. And there are these three main events that can make great changes in people's lives, right? And the first one are the epidemics. The second one is revolutions, and the third one are the wars. And I started to think uh, about what in those three in the history of humanity we can look at to understand how the designing products were being done at that time and how can we come up with insights for the nowadays, right? So when we look at the art and design history, we are going to see that they are very related to the war, right? So, and there was a specific country that knew how to use the design as the greatest weapon to fight against social and economic crisis, which is Italy. As you all know, the Italian design, dopoguerra, it's very known for its quality and the technology, how it was used at that time. And I'm a huge fan. So I started to look at it and to try to understand what was so great about the Italian design at that time that we can bring for the nowadays, right? So I'm going to take a ride with you in this part of the history. And for this, I'm bringing the Vespa example, which is a solution that was launched a year right after the World War II. And I think that the Vespa can sum up what are the main characteristics that I'm considering now for us to look at how to deal with designing products during a crisis. So the first element that I would like to highlight about the Vespa is about the way that they look at inside and they look at to the problems that the people were suffering at the time. So people didn't have money to afford a car, for example. So they had to build something that was cheap, right? Not only to build it, but also to keep. it. So it was cheap to have a Vespa. And but not only that, they thought about also how can we make something that men and women can use it. So if you think about a woman using a skirt, and she can ride as well the Vespa. So why I'm talking about it, and why is it important now? Because when we look at internet, we see many solutions that other countries there they are building for to fight coronavirus in their products, or launching new products or new features. But and we think, should I launch it in my project? But each of us is living this pandemic time in a very different way. So it's important for us to understand how people in the context, our clients, our young and our users, they are facing this pandemic at all. So as designers, we are masters of using low cost tools for discovery. And this is the right time for us to use it, to apply it. And I'm going to bring here an example about how we did it in ClickBus. And so we don't have money to recruit people to interview them, which was the ideal. But what we have done was we selected a few people from our client base, and we asked them few questions in a online survey. We didn't give them any bonus or coupon to use, but since we have a very engaged client base, we received many answers from them. And one of the questions that we asked to them was, in your opinion, what's more relevant to fight COVID-19 contagion? And for them, the three main uh, attitudes that you need to take to fight it is always use hand sanitizer, keep a ventilated room, and social distancing. And why I'm bringing this example? Because I thought, I don't know about you, but for me, I was very surprised that people didn't think that using masks in social places was so important. So this is very interesting because we need to understand what for our clients is valuable now at this time, what they are, how they are dealing with it. Because since we don't have enough money to try many things, different things, and to make these errors, let's say that, and so we can ask ourselves, should we invest in mask or hand sanitizers? And if we have this answer, as I mentioned it before, we can take a decision for a business, a better decision, which is much better for us to for a cheap solution and so on. The second point that I would like to talk about is about creativity and collaboration. So the Vespa was only possible because there was someone that was looking at the people's problem, what people were suffering at that time, but also an engineer was able to bring his knowledge to build it, and to build it a beautiful and amazing product. So this collaboration was very important at the moment to make it possible, right? And now, designers, usually we all talk about how collaborating is important, but in the daily basis, we don't do it actually. But this is very important now, that we need to take people from our company from different areas to collaborate, because the main resource that we have now in a crisis is ourselves, like our ability to create things, to create new stuffs from stuff that already exist, will be the most powerful tool that we are going to have, right? So also, again, as designers, we don't know many of ideation methods. In this case, I brought here an example of a how might we session that we have done with our coworkers. So we asked 10 of them to come up with ideas about how to solve four problems that we are trying to solve with our new feature. Sorry, I'm going to. So there are many others, so like co-creation, prototyping, and you can use it as well. And this is the time to use it, right? Because we need great solutions and different people thinking about the same thing. They will come with more ideas, right? So designers, please don't think only by yourself, and ask people also what they are thinking about it. And also, this is very important because we need integration in times like this, right? We are all feeling anxious, as Yasmin already said. We are feeling the fear of being alone and so on. So integration will be very important. So this is a moment to co-create, but also to integrate people. And the co-creation will make us closer later if one day we are going to back to the office. So people will see the value of working together, right? And so the third one is the basis of the industrial design, which is the form and function combined. And the Vespa was not only cheap, but it was beautiful. We all loved it. If you don't love Vespa, you don't know anything about design. Just kidding. But Vespa is beautiful, right? Everyone likes it. It's an icon. So and the form and function combined is very important at this time because we need to use the technology as an ally and not an enemy, because sometimes we create a very amazing feature that looks great in your or prototype, and then when we go to the developing team, they say, okay, I can't build it, our system is not ready for that, and then we launch something that is only for the function, right? Just to make this happen. But oops, okay, I just left my earrings. So, and so it's interesting for us to look at our product and think about which of the points that we have on a product that can be better and can make the experience better, and with the smaller architecture's impact. So design has this power of making different experience from using very few resources, right? And also the UX writing. So we are seeing now many people talking about UX writing, but are we paying attention, the attention that we should pay for it in your product? Because sometimes a word changes everything, right? And this is a real example of our product. That this is a print screen from the Hotjar mapping tool. I don't know if you all know this tool, but it's a mapping tool that you can see how the user is actually using your product. And where you are seeing these red dots is where the user tried to click several times, and they call it rage click. And that's rage click. The name, it's perfect because people, when they don't get the feedback that they were expecting, they get frustrated, right? So and this is important because you can come up with solution hypothesis to solve the problem that you are seeing. For in this example, that we see that the blue color in the text in the box make it look clickable. So we could change it and to minimize this feeling of frustration in your or client, right? And another way to identify these problems that we can solve is running a risk evaluation. That is something that if every designer, I think, that already run it, a UX designer already did it. And this is a very cheap solution to understand what are the problems that the product have. And to when you while you then identify it, you come to the developers and ask them what's going on behind the scenes. So and try to understand what's going on in the backend that is making the answer in the interface look like that, right? So, and also again, collaboration and co-creation with the developers here is very important because they need to know what is the value of design and how can design help them to solve also this systemic problem, right? And we need to really think about the power of emotions in your product because, as I said, as Yasmin already said, and as we all know, we are feeling bad. We are having bad emotions at this time. So is your product making people feel bad or good about using it? We need to think about it because this can change the way the people are looking at your brand and the way people will use your product, right? And then they can just leave your product, and this is a bad thing. So we should be very careful with the emotions that we are creating with your product. And there's this wheel of emotions, which is another technique that you can use to identify what are the emotions that combined you are creating in your project, and try to understand how to um, minimize it or to change it, and also to show to your client what is happening and how can we help them to solve it, right? So the first one is about long-term systemic vision. So the Vespa, if you don't have money, you are going to buy something that you want to that thing to last, right? You want that thing to last because you are investing in money that maybe you can't. So the Vespa, we is still saying that is here now, but even if a very different symbol for the culture, but the material that it was used to be built, it's very strong, so it was possible to use it for a long time. So the long-term vision here is very important also because, again, we don't have many resources to work with. We are losing collaborators in our companies, so we need to think really if the solution that we are coming up now solve the problem that we are having now, but about the future, what's going on, what will it be in the future? How can we iterate it, and will it be useful? But also you need to think about the software that you are using or the language that is going to be developed, because for example, yesterday I saw that Figma went down. So this is something that we need to think when we choose a software, because is it trustable? I don't know. I'm not making, I'm not saying that Figma is not good, but we need to think about it and look for the future projections and think how the pandemic is impacting my clients. So now you are going to take this knowledge that you learn from Yasmin about the personas and think which of them it's more similar to my client, right? And how can I predict some behavior from them to come up with solutions for them that will be good also after the pandemic, and which touch points in the client's experience this pandemic is affecting. This is very important as well, because as I said before, in the survey that we have done, we saw that social distancing for them, for our clients, is very important. So what have we done? We have done this touchless journey, what we call it touchless, because we needed to really map where the user were having human contact during this journey. And we are talking about travel. So as the social distancing is an option, but also there are other moments in the journey that they have human contact, and how can us as a company, as a product, how can we help them to feel safer, and how can we minimize those problems and those feelings that they are having, right? So we have done that, and we are now coming up with solutions that we can build to minimize those problems. And the very last one, the Italian design had something very special that I think that is still being done like that until now. It's about sharing information. And here in Brazil, sometimes designers tend to think about that, or a work is not interesting for other people, so they don't share it, and they make like a black box, as Debbie said in the last meetup here. And it's really, it's still being like that. People think that the design work is like a black box, and sometimes we will open that and we will come up with a great solution, amazing interfaces, interactions. And it's not like that, right? We are doing like these studies about behavioral consumption, and they are very important for all other areas of the company to understand how can then help us to create something meaningful for the client, right? So sharing information is very, very important at this time. So we need to be sure that we are on the same page. So are we going to the same path, to the same way, and we are the same path? Because sometimes I say A and someone understands B, and that's really what happens in the daily practice of designing, right? So I think that this ability of designers visualize what still doesn't exist, it's very important to help people that to come up with ideas and to explain them to others, right? Because sometimes I will say flower, and Yasmin will understand that is a yellow flower, Ilaria the pink one, and Mari will understand that is a sunflower. So as designers, we need to be sure that it's not going to happen that so good that we are on the same page. And actually we were not, right? So use your time to share that. If there are people from ClickBus, I'm sorry that you're seeing maybe yourselves in this picture, but this was a session that we run it during this week to co-create with people, and I would like to bring it to show you that it happens. People are looking good, and they are very, very, very happy to contribute with our project, right? But all of that I said depend on one ability, which is facilitation. It's much like you have these wires, each one of one color, and you need to connect them to the right point, right? And I found this article that I found very interesting and funny, how the author called it, that designing facilitation is the secret sauce of great designers. So this ability to put different people from with different knowledge to talk the same language will be the most valuable ability in a designer in this moment. Okay, so to sum up what we saw about the Vespa and the learnings that we have is the Vespa was desirable. People needed it actually, and it was viable. So the technology was possible. The technology allowed it to be built, and it was possible. So it was cheap for the company, the Piaggio company, to build it, right? So does it look familiar for you if you are a designer? I'm sure that it's look familiar for you, and it's all about design thinking. So I think that anything that I already I presented for you until now, I think that is nothing new, really new for you. But sometimes we forgot about why are we designing things? Why are we designing a new feature or a product? Because we need to remember why we decided to be designers. And it was, I think, most of the designers that I know, it was because we wanted to solve people's problems, right? So to finish it, I would like to leave this very famous quote that there's nothing new except what has been forgotten. And always try to remember in your daily practice that it's all about thinking about the people's need and the business need, and also technology. We are the people that are able to make this match happen, right? So now we have the €1,000,000 question. Is it time to think about a new feature? And I'm going to ask my colleague Yasmin to answer that.
Well, Marina, I mean, why not? We saw that a lot of new disruptive technologies came out of crisis. So of course we can do it again, but first we have to keep in mind those main topics. The behavioral analysis, we need to understand with who we're talking and why we're doing it, what are their needs. Then we need to work with the usability and make it sure that we are going to enhance their experience with us. Of course, being transparent. So if you're going to change something, if you're going to raise prices or anything like that, be transparent. Let your customer know why this is happening. And at last, I mean, oops. At last, we're going to talk about collaboration and co-creation that allows us to bring the client not only to the center, but also to be part and help us write the new chapter of history. So I would like to thank you all in my name, in Marina's name, for joining us, for taking the time to watch such a dense material. Here you can get our profiles so we can chat more on LinkedIn. And also the presentation and the references that Marina said are in the PDF. You can scan the QR code. And now we're open to questions.
Thanks a lot, Yasmin and Marina, for this presentation. I think everyone learned a lot by what you presented and also by what is happening now. When Marina was presenting, I was thinking about a service or a product that is touchless. I don't remember. Touchless. Like, how can we design a service like this without having this touch point that is physical, like besides the phone, obviously, the application, but it's very interesting. I would like to ask you to make some questions for them in our YouTube channel. Ila, do you have any questions?
Thanks. First of all, thanks for your speech and for your explanation, because it was really interesting and really focused. I have a question. During your presentation, you talk about co-creation as a method, as a methodology, of course. And how do you imagine co-creation could be achieved in this particular moment in which we are living, that we are facing?
I think Marina can answer this one because we're facing this right this week.
Yeah, you mean in terms of tools to use, Laria, or in terms of facilitation?
Both.
Both. Okay, this is very hard because I used it to work, and I was working at ThoughtWorks before, and there we had many different tools, and now I'm trying to understand better how to use what we have available. This week we are doing actually during this week a session of co-creation with the Draw.io, and we are mixing up the tools that we have to really come up. We are doing with the Sheets on Google, and the facilitation is very hard, but what we have done was to make like chapter leaders. So we asked a few people, like we subdivided the groups in four, and ask for people to be the owners of the creation that they were doing, right? So this is very hard, but we need to count on other people also to help us to do it, right? Does it answer your question?
Yeah. Thanks. And do you have just to finish it? Do you think that co-creation in this particular moment will have a higher value?
Sorry, what? Will have a what? Sorry.
And higher value.
Okay, yes, sure. I think that yes, because we don't have many resources, we don't have budget to invest, we don't have money to invest in huge solutions. So when we have people working together and co-creating things, it will be very, very valuable for the company to come up with different solutions than maybe go out from the mainstream solutions that they have.
Thanks a lot, Marina.
So on
Here from
on
Narges. I hope I'm saying the name right.
Narges.
So Narges. Okay. So it's asked here for those businesses which their whole identity has been changed during the era, how far you suggest them to experience with the new feature, for example, like travel or entertainment sections. Well, we both work in the travel industry, so I think this is an easy one for us to answer. We are dealing with a lot of struggle. Our company struggled a lot in the beginning of the lockdown. We had reducement of personnel, we have reducement of journey and salary, so everything is changed for us, but still those who stayed are very compromised with the main goal of the company, that is connecting people. So we want to make sure that we are going to be able to connect them after the lockdown is over. And we are trying to innovate with the resources we have. So exercises like Marina is doing about a new payment method, or something that I'm actually taking care of, that is anticipation of the buying method. So it's something that is new for our sector, but not new for the whole sector. So you can also bring something that other people is making all over the world. It's nice to do a benchmark, understand what others are doing, and try to get some ideas of how this could be used in your company, how this talks with your customer, understanding that your public is different. Like if I take an example of Italy, it not exactly is going to work for Brazil, but it might give us an idea of what to do. So I think we need to try to find another way to deal with the lack of money and the lack of time that we have, and try to come up with something new. And we are actually doing it right now. That's what Marina was telling.
Thanks. Ila, do you have any more questions? I'm still thinking about my questions.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was talking with myself. Actually, yeah. This is a curiosity that I had. I don't know if you could answer me. Maybe we can have a discussion about it. I don't know. Let's. Here we are. Okay. In this moment that we already explained and that we already know, of course, I think that accessibility is a topic. For example, older people that don't have the technological tools to be connected with the rest of the world, or just basically their family or their child, and but also poorer people that can't afford actually this kind of tools. Today it's a topic, and my question is, but it's an open question actually. How do you think that this exclusion could evolve in this situation, because we would like to, of course, we would like to think that we will guarantee inclusion even in this situation. But I don't know if that could be something that we could actually achieve. So, what's your, if you have a point of view on this topic?
I think we can pair the answer here, Marina. Well, here in Brazil, especially, the poor are suffering a lot with the pandemic. They not only doesn't have the resources to deal with it, they depend on public health. So it's affecting them way harder than it's affecting any of us. So it's very hard to say that all the scenery is like digitalization, a lot of positive things, because we have a lot of people dying and a lot of people suffering from it. But even those who doesn't have a lot of opportunities to buy and to be spending money right now, they are trying to find solutions here, like trying to work for the delivery companies. They are trying to make themselves bring some money home. As I said on one of the personas, they know it's important to stay at home, but they are going out anyway because they really need to survive and make their family survive. So it's hard, and the dissemination and the education for them to understand how they can protect themselves is not that good here in Brazil. So even more when our president is saying something and the governors say something different. But I don't know if that answers your question, but mainly when with the poor people, this is one topic. And when you talk about the older people, we see a movement here of granddaughters, daughters, sons making and buying things for them. A lot of people in the building, for example, I live in a building that put their name in the elevator saying like, if you're in the group of risk, call me and I can buy something for you in the supermarket or in the pharmacy. So we are seeing a movement of more helpful people and people that are trying to understand and help the others to deal with it.
Yes, I would add a point from the point of view of product design. I mean, like how we can make the product accessible. Is that the right way to speak? I mean, I think that accessibility should be a cross-functional thing for all products that we build. But sometimes I think also that each company should choose their fights, like what they are going to fight for. And also in Brazil, we have a very unique way to deal with things, because the government, you see that doesn't do much thing to make the population informed by about what's going on. So as Yasmin said, the collaboration between each other is much more powerful. So I think that each company should fight, should choose their fight, because companies also have this role to make people aware of the problems, because they don't believe the government. But yes, so I think that it's almost impossible to attend everyone, but each company should look at what they can do at this time.
Thank you, girls. I think we have a question from YouTube. Do you see it? It's
Yes, you want to read it, Mari?
Yes,
Yeah,
I can
can-
read it.
Go ahead.
Litet, Liteti said, thanks, very interesting. Our future is changing. We will continue changing. As all projections are now put at question, do you think the key would be be flexible design or dictating what's to come?
Okay, can I start it, Yasmin? Yeah. So this is a very interesting thing because when we started to working agile environments, designers are suffering a lot to understand how to deal with the projects evolving so fast. So in my opinion, to be flexible will be the answer because things are changing very quickly in our society. And when we talk about this pandemic, we saw like changes very sudden, like we had to stay home from one day to another. So I think that more flexible better, so and also to deal with this change because technology is also evolving very quickly.
Yeah, I'm not actually a designer, so I can't give my professional opinion about it. But as a product manager and pairing with Marina at work, I see that we are having a movement here in Brazil of having design as the center of a business strategy, which never happened before. Like we're using even more the knowledge that we have about the journey of the consumer and their habits to try to make something meaningful. So for me, it's the best time ever because I love that subject. I love to understand the consumers and being able to actually tangibilize it in a journey, in personas, in other tools that Marina said, is something good and that makes us guide the company to the right side.
People who are watching us, do you have any more questions? I have only observations, not questions. Because actually, I think this moment that we are living now, if I stop to think about it, it's very, very scary. And I think the economics and all the services and products that we are seeing now, they're going to change. And I think it's also an opportunity for us to rethink about social distancing. As you mentioned before, these events, workshops, co-creation will be much more valuable than before, because now being together is gonna be like a celebration. I can see like to gather everyone and to do something together. So also thinking about um, feature or product, etc. So I think it's scary to think about the future, but I think it's nice to have this possibility to rethink also the way that we consume, the way that we do things. I think it's the right moment for us to rethink about what we've done in a wrong way to fix it now.
Yeah. And talking about travel, for example, we had the premise that the first destinies people are going to go are beaches and, a lot of places. But in the research Marina was guiding, we saw that people want to go home, people want to see their families. People want to go to the countryside instead of the beach. Of course, afterwards, they want to go to the beach. We are losing here in Brazil 4 holidays, so we value a lot the holidays that we lost. Especially it's coming Mother's Day, so of course it's important for them to go to paradise and stuff, but family is the main thing for them. So we review our priorities and our values. And it's a very important moment because a lot of people think that technology is going to bring us apart and it's not going to help. Like you only stay on WhatsApp, or you only use FaceTime or anything like that. But actually, we saw that how much it makes us miss the physical contact with the ones we love. So it's a really nice opportunity to review your priorities.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm thinking about the next time that I'm going to be able to go to Brazil now. I don't think it's gonna be so near.
Yeah, it's going to take a while.
Yes, we will have to wait. So anyone have any more questions? Let's see. Okay. I think people don't have any more questions for now. Anyway, if you guys have any more further questions to Marina and Yasmin, you have their contact. Also, this video will be available in our YouTube channel, so you can see this.
We have one.
Yes.
Oh, no, it's
I'm about to start a new job, and I'm very curious about how the team building and communication will go.
that's an issue too.
Yeah, it's funny because I have some friends that changed jobs in this lockdown period, and it was completely the opposite that was for me, for Marina. And of course, it will have to be more digital the whole beginning of the process, but companies are finding a way to be close to their employees. For example, our company made a happy hour with all the employees, 100 people in a in a room, and they gave us a credit that we could buy any beer or any type of drink to drink together. So it's something so small but meaningful that makes us connect more, that makes us see that, okay, the company still worries about us having a moment together. Also, they are asking a lot for us to keep the camera open so they can see us, they can, see with who they are talking about and see the expressions and stuff, not to lose this human contact. So it will be different, of course, especially this beginning, because it will take a while to come back to normal, but it's not necessarily bad.
Totally agree. Thumbs up for the camera because it's very necessary, and sometimes people just forgot how important is it to see, because communication is about also to see how the person is, what is the look, how the person is looking like now. So this is very important also to take into account.
I agree. And I'm sure Ilaria agrees as well.
Me too. That was an issue that I brought to my colleagues in the office, that I missed the fact that we couldn't see each other. So I was thinking about I'm talking to no one, by myself. But the strange thing is that at the same time you're seeing the one that you're talking to, but you're seeing also you too, which is something totally strange from the reality, the normal life. So maybe you're distracted by see if you have something on your face or something like that. But I agree, actually.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
filters
actually.
here, the filters here, some are very distracting too. We were making a call with a supplier for ClickBus, and they were using like a completely strange filter, and I was so focused on the filter, I couldn't pay attention. So it's a different time for sure.
Yes, actually today I read an article about this, about the Zoom effect on meetings, that it requires much more energy and attention from the people instead of talking personally, because we don't care. We're talking to someone in person. We don't pay attention to the things that we are seeing or doing, like facially, like in the expressions and etc. But now, for example, now I can see myself twice, and I always pay attention, like which kind of faces I'm doing, etc. But very nice. I think if anyone have any more questions, I think we can say goodbye for now.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It was a great pleasure. Hope
It
it's
was,
the beginning of a partnership with you guys.
For
yes,
sure.
we are very, very happy to have you, to host you guys here. I think this topic is very relevant, very important for us to be discussed in this time. Thank you guys for the presentation, for the openness, and thank you very much. I hope we can be in touch, and we can see other meetups.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a great day in Brazil because you are in the middle of the day, actually.
Good night for you
Yes.
girls.
Thank you.
Thank
Ciao.
you guys.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, grazie.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.